Welcome back to CMB Communications Bite Size. Today we are exploring an explainer on the mechanics, risks and responsible use of AI in patient care. The anatomy of large language models in healthcare. Before we begin, a quick disclaimer. This video is for informational and educational purposes only and does not constitute formal medical or clinical governance advice. Always adhere to your organization's local information governance frameworks. If you would like a copy of the presentation we are going through today, the link is in the description below. And if you find this breakdown helpful, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel and share this video with your colleagues to help promote safe AI practices. Let's dive in. Let's start with a foundational truth. Large language models do not possess actual understanding or meaning. Because they generate syntactically perfect English, LLMs give the false impression of human-like cognition. The reality is that they are sophisticated mathematical functions. The mechanism simply calculates and predicts the next best word based on vast amounts of data, without any true comprehension of the medical queries being asked. So how does text generation actually work? It is an iterative cycle of calculating probabilities. First, inputs are split into fragments, known as tokens. Next, the model evaluates all possible next words and assigns a probability to each. To avoid robotic repetition, models select less likely words at random, which is why the same prompt yields a different, fluid response each time. This looping generation only stops when the model predicts an end-of-sequence token. Pre-training these models requires an incomprehensible scale of data and computation. For a standard human to read the amount of text used to train a model like GPT-3, they would have to read non-stop, 24/7 for over 2,600 years. The major breakthrough came in 2017. Previously, models used sequential, word-by-word processing. The 2017 shift introduced models that process entire text blocks at once, translating words into long lists of numbers to encode meaning. Transformers process entire passages of text in parallel to derive context. An attention mechanism allows these numbers to communicate and refines meanings based on surrounding words. This ensures the model mathematically differentiates the word bank in a financial context from a riverbank in a geographical context. However, raw models require human feedback to become helpful clinical assistants. Auto-completing random internet text does not inherently create a safe or useful assistant. Using reinforcement learning with human feedback, workers actively review model outputs, flagging unhelpful or problematic predictions. These corrections continuously adjust the model's parameters, aligning its mathematical probabilities with responses that humans actually prefer and find helpful. When applied correctly, these tools excel at drafting routine communications and summarizing complex medical histories. Models can dramatically reduce the administrative burden for healthcare professionals, allowing them to redirect their time and focus back to patient-facing care. But there are risks. Syntactically perfect sentences can hide flagrantly false narratives. Because the output sounds like a confident native speaker, users naturally anthropomorphize the tool, trusting it as if it were a human colleague. We must reject the term hallucination, as it falsely implies the AI has a mind. These are purely statistical errors derived from conflicting training data. If data lacks an answer entirely, the model will simply predict the most likely words, regardless of factual truth. The clinical danger here is immense. Models can flagrantly invent bogus medical citations, giving the dangerous perception of rigorous proof where absolutely none exists. Furthermore, models inherently reflect the biases present in their underlying data. AI is a powerful mirror, reflecting our own historical and systemic biases. If the training data is heavily skewed, the clinical or informational output will be proportionately biased. Users cannot rely on simply prompting the model to be more representative, as the underlying mathematical weights are already set. Additionally, unverified training data introduces severe consent and copyright risks. Developers often hoover data from across the internet without securing explicit consent, raising severe questions about the accidental inclusion of improperly anonymized patient data. Finally, public models are vulnerable to malicious hijacking and data poisoning, where bad actors can force the model to bypass its safety programming or permanently influence its future outputs. So, how do we mitigate these risks? First, we mitigate statistical errors by demanding data lineage and explainability. Always ask, from which specific source was the data pulled? Second, we must counteract bias through multidisciplinary teams and rigorous clinical audits both before and after deployment. We also need to enforce accountability through strict governance and transparent fact sheets for any model deployed, detailing exactly how and where its data was gathered. Lastly, we must educate staff on the environmental costs and vulnerabilities of AI. Training a single new large language model produces as much carbon as over 100 round-trip flights between New York and Beijing. If you use AI to help you with aspects of prescribing in clinic, let's leave you with a suggested checklist for using public AI tools. This is by no means exhaustive and does not constitute formal medical or clinical governance advice. Always adhere to your organization's local information governance frameworks. 1. Data privacy check. Never input patient-identifiable data into public cloud-based models. 2. Fact verification. Always verify clinical claims against primary, peer-reviewed sources, and never trust LLM-generated citations. 3. Bias assessment. Actively review output for demographic or clinical skew. 4. Security awareness. Treat public LLMs as unsecure environments. 5. Human in the loop. The model drafts, the human decides. Ultimately, augmentation requires an empowered, educated practitioner. By understanding their mechanics and enforcing strict governance, we can safely harness AI to redirect our focus where it belongs: patient care. Thank you for watching. As mentioned at the start, if you would like a copy of this presentation to share with your team, you can find the link in the description below. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video to support safe clinical practices. See you in the next one.
Like and subscribe.